Let's get into main topic number one. And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Tyler Elder. And Tyler Elder writes, Welp, THR, that's the Hollywood Reporter, just stated that Universal has jumped onto what I'm calling the depress-train of movie delays by pushing Jurassic World Dominion from June 11th, 2021 to June 10th, 2022. This bumps it an entire year and makes the gap between Jurassic films 4 years wide. I know this news isn't that surprising given the recent shifts by Warner Brothers, but what do you think about this delay? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yep, unfortunately, we have gotten another big, massive movie in Jurassic World that has made the big shift off of its release date. This time going from summer of 2021 all the way a full year push to the summer of June 2022. This comes to us from the folks at Deadline who write, Universal is protecting one of its biggest assets from the pandemic and moving Jurassic World Dominion from June 11th, 2021 to June 10th, 2022. Universal had the latter date already on hold for an untitled event movie. I hear this has nothing to do with the production, which is about 3 weeks from wrapping up in the UK, and remained on course despite some positive COVID-19 tests from the crew. Rather, it's just about safeguarding a big tentpole which has a number of lucrative ancillary attachments. That, of course, comes to us from the folks over at Deadline. Okay, I think there's a couple things to look at here that are really interesting. Number one is that this is because of the pandemic, but it's not because of the pandemic in the way that you might think. Universal is not worried that theaters aren't going to be open in June of 2021. They're not worried about that. I mean, that still remains as a phantom hanging over our shoulders, of course, because we don't know what's going to happen. But that's not what they're assuming. They're not right now assuming, oh, the theaters may not be open in June. That's not the problem here. What I think the real issue here that has got this thing moved is the fact that what Rob and I have been talking about for some time, the chaos caused to the movie industry, particularly movie scheduling, the chaos caused by the pandemic will not end when the movie theater doors open. That's not the end of it. That's just the beginning of the chaos. Because yes, we had the chaos of all these movies we've been looking forward to the past 7 months suddenly having to be moved. Okay, movie theaters, their doors open again. Great. Well, now we got to deal with the aftermath of having a film schedule now with 7 extra months of movies all trying to find some refugee spots in the upcoming calendar year and beyond, causing overcrowding, and it's going to cause other films that were already safely scheduled out into 2021 are now going to have to maybe look around and saying, hey, this neighborhood's getting kind of crowded. This is not what's best for us or our movie, and we probably need to move. And now they're going to need to move. And so, that's why for a while we were talking about on the show about how the chaos is just beginning. The chaos of movie scheduling is just beginning. And we, even once the theater doors are open and we proclaim that the pandemic crisis is now in our rearview mirror, whenever that's going to be, but even when that happens, we are still going to be dealing with the fallout and the ramifications of what has transpired over the past 7 months with a lot of moving and shifting and all that kind of stuff. Rob, I did find it interesting. I want to get your take on this. The fact that they moved it a full year. Now, we saw Fast 9 in the early days of the pandemic decide to make a 1-year jump. But lately, when we've been seeing moves, it's been a couple of months. It's been maybe at the outset 5 or 6 months, normally somewhere around there. They decided to just go the full year shift. Rob, how much of a play does the pandemic have in this move, considering it wasn't coming out till mid-2021? And why a full year move, do you think? What's your take?
Well, I think from a production standpoint, they had a delay in filming. This is a very effects-heavy, very complex film from a post-production standpoint. And I think what they've done is they've done two things. Like you pointed out, they don't have to worry whether the Jurassic Park franchise takes a little longer between films in order to be financially viable. They've proven with Jurassic World people love Jurassic Park movies. So that's one thing. But two, like you also pointed out, they move out of 2021 where there's going to be scrambling and chaos. They've firmly planted their flag on a date, and they can work on this movie without pressure. Probably not a bunch of effects overtime, because you know how that can get when there's crunch time getting effects done, especially on a movie like this that already had its release date truncated, or the production time truncated because of the pandemic. So now that's alleviated. So there is no rush. I mean, there's always a rush, but there's not the kind of rush where they're paying double and triple time to their effects teams. So I think from a production standpoint, they have enough time to finish the movie properly, get it all done, all the things, subtitling, whatever it is they need to do, and they can even have it done maybe 6 months early, which alleviates the pressure from a production standpoint. And two, they don't have to deal with a bunch of other movies coming out when they are. They've said, yep, we've got our big giant dinosaur behemoth movie. We're planting it into 2022, and now you people act accordingly. And I think that was a really, really smart, shrewd, very business savvy thing to do.
And you think it's going to pay off? This movie is going to pay off for them long term?
I think it is, because look, this is a movie that we haven't really seen. There's been some behind the scenes footage. I mean, we haven't seen much in the way of trailers, or they haven't pre-marketed a lot because they were still in production. Yeah. So, when they can ramp up a marketing campaign like they would for any other movie, they can start it up Christmas of 2021 and do it properly. Not like all these other movies where they started pre-marketing them and then they didn't come out, and then they have to start up the marketing campaign again. Hey, remember when No Time to Die was going to come out back in April and we were telling you about it in 2019? Well, hey, now we're going to remarket the movie for the third time back into middle April of 2021. They don't have to do that. And right now, remember, the general public, they don't follow movies, the production movies, the way we in the movie pundit space do. So the general public's not sitting there going, my mom's like going, hey, where is Jurassic Park Dominion, Bob? And I'm like, well, I don't have to tell her that. Or Jurassic World Dominion. So I think this was a smart move all the way around.
Question is, guys, what do you think about this? I mean, yeah, probably at this point, there's no more surprise. Big movie gets moved, no surprise. But now we're starting to look at moves being done as a result of what's going to be the aftermath, I think, of the pandemic. What's your guys' thoughts on this? Jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys.